Michael Jackson didn't just become the king of pop by accident. He manifested his success through crystal clear vision, unbreakable belief in himself, and an almost superhuman work ethic that pushed him and everyone around him to the absolute limit. This is the true factual story of how he turned that mindset into history, from the creation of Thriller in 1982 through Bad, and finally Dangerous in 1991. By the late 1970s, Michael had already achieved massive success with the Jackson 5 and his 1979 solo album Off the Wall, which sold over 20 million copies, but he was far from satisfied. In interviews and private notes, Michael repeatedly spoke about the power of the mind. He believed deeply that thoughts could shape reality. He once said, "I believe we are powerful, but we don't use our minds to our full capacity. Your mind is power enough to help you attain whatever you want." He wrote letters and notes to himself declaring his future greatness. In one early message, he wrote that he wanted a completely new identity. MJ will be my new name, a totally different person. He visualized not just hits, but total domination of the music industry. He studied legends like Fred Astaire for grace, James Brown for raw energy, and great filmmakers for visual storytelling. He told producer Quincy Jones that his next album had to be the biggest record ever made. That vision became Thriller. Recording sessions for Thriller began in 1982 at Westlake Audio in Los Angeles. Michael arrived with 4 self-written songs and an ironclad determination. The sessions were legendary for their intensity. Days often stretched 12 to 18 hours. Michael was a perfectionist who would take tapes home, listen repeatedly, and return the next day demanding changes. Quincy Jones later recalled that Michael worked until he literally dropped from exhaustion. He pushed every single element, melodies, lyrics, rhythms, and arrangements. He believed so strongly in the project that he told the team they could achieve anything. "I knew what we could do with that record," he said. The result was historic. Thriller was released on November 30th, 1982. It produced an unprecedented 7 top 10 singles, including Billie Jean, Beat It, Wanna Be Startin' Something, and the title track. It won a record-breaking 8 Grammy Awards in 1984 and became the best-selling album of all time, eventually selling over 70 million copies worldwide. On March 25th, 1983, during the Motown 25 television special, Michael performed Billie Jean in front of 50 million viewers and introduced the world to the moonwalk. That single moment cemented him as the king of pop. His vision had become reality through relentless execution, but success brought enormous pressure. After Thriller, the entire world expected the impossible. Michael refused to rest on his achievements. He openly said he was never satisfied and would keep perfecting his work even after it reached number 1. For the follow-up album, he spent nearly 6 years writing, demoing, and refining material. Over 60 songs were recorded or sketched during this period. He rehearsed choreography for hours every day, often alone in front of mirrors, perfecting every gesture and facial expression. The album Bad was released in 1987. It produced 5 consecutive number 1 singles, another record at the time, and sold over 35 million copies. The Bad World Tour that followed was a masterpiece of precision. Michael rehearsed 10 to 12 hours a day with his dancers and crew, demanding the same level of commitment from everyone. He treated every single performance as if it were opening night. By 1989, Michael was ready for his next evolution. He wanted to bring the emerging New Jack Swing sound into his music and teamed up with producer Teddy Riley. Recording for Dangerous began in June 1989 and lasted nearly 2 full years, mostly at Record One Studio in Sherman Oaks, California. Michael rented the entire facility for $4,000 a day and practically lived there. He and longtime engineer Bruce Swedian even kept hotel rooms just 4 minutes away. so they could return to work at any moment. Sessions routinely ran 18 hours or more. On one famous night, Bruce Swedian refused to let Michael leave the studio until he nailed the vocals for Keep the Faith in one complete, flawless take. Michael did it. In total, between 50 and 80 songs were recorded. Only 14 made the final album. He obsessed over every detail, from Slash's guitar solo on Give In To Me to the cinematic scope and social messages in tracks like Black or White, Heal the World, and They Don't Care About Us. Dangerous was released on November 26, 1991. It debuted at number 1 in multiple countries and sold over 30 million copies worldwide. The Black or White music video premiered simultaneously around the globe to an estimated 500 million viewers, one of the biggest television events in music history. Michael's work ethic never wavered even at the absolute peak of his fame. He continued to rehearse until physical exhaustion, studied every aspect of performance and production, and maintained an almost monastic focus on excellence. What made Michael Jackson extraordinary was the combination of powerful mindset and relentless action. He visualized success with such clarity that he could see it happening. He wrote it down. Then he outworked everyone else to make it real. He was a self-described perfectionist who said, "I'll work until I drop." That philosophy carried him from the creation of Thriller, which changed pop music forever, through Bad, which proved he could sustain greatness, to Dangerous, which showed he could constantly reinvent himself while staying true to his core. From 1982 to 1991, Michael didn't just release albums. He created cultural moments that defined an era. His story is living proof that true manifestation is not passive wishing. It is seeing your future so vividly, believing in it so deeply, and working so hard that the world has no choice but to catch up to your vision. That is the real legacy of Michael Jackson's journey from Thriller to Dangerous.